Dr. James Miller stood at the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, gazing at the blue marble of Earth. The year was 2157, and humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The holographic display beside him showed the grim statistics. Earth's population had stabilized at 11 billion, but resource depletion was accelerating despite all technological advances. Another atmospheric processing station failed in Southeast Asia, said Director Anna Thompson, joining him at the viewport. That's the third this month. James nodded grimly. We've pushed Earth beyond its limits. The terraforming projects on Mars and Venus are decades away from completion, and the asteroid colonies can only support a few million people. Which is why the Interstellar Council called this meeting, Anna replied. The Proxima Centauri probes confirmed it. There's a habitable planet. Actual liquid water, breathable atmosphere with minor adjustments. We're calling it Hope. The name was apt. For 50 years, humanity had sent probes to nearby star systems, searching for a viable second home. Most had found nothing but barren rocks or gas giants. Until now. In the council chamber, representatives from Earth's United Nations, the Martian colonies, and the orbital habitats gathered. The tension was palpable as Admiral Robert Jackson took the podium. The data is conclusive, he announced, projection systems displaying the findings. Proxima Centauri, Hope, can support human life. The atmospheric composition needs adjustment, but it's within our terraforming capabilities. Its gravity is 1.3 times Earth's, manageable with current medical treatments. And most importantly, it has a functioning biosphere. A murmur of excitement filled the room. Real alien life. Simple but undeniably present. The journey will take 27 years with our most advanced fusion drives, Jackson continued. We propose a fleet of colony ships, 5 vessels carrying 20,000 colonists each in alternating cryo-sleep cycles. Professor Lisa Meyer, the leading expert on interstellar travel, stood next. This isn't just about finding resources or living space, she said. It's about ensuring humanity's survival. Earth will recover, given time, but only if we reduce the burden, and only if we have a backup plan. The stark truth lingered in the air. Earth's climate stabilization was precarious at best. The extinction events of the 2080s had been a harsh lesson. Nature was resilient, but could be pushed too far. We can't put all our eggs in one planetary basket, Tom Garcia, the agricultural expert, added. The asteroid strikes of 2072 nearly wiped out our species. If not for the lunar colonies, we might not have survived at all. For hours, the debate raged. The cost was astronomical. Resources that could help Earth would be diverted. But in the end, the vote was unanimous. Project Diaspora would proceed. As James left the meeting, he received a message from his daughter Emma, a pilot stationed on Mars. I'm volunteering, it read. For the colony fleet, someone has to build the future, Dad. He stared at the message, pride and fear warring within him. The stars had always called to humanity. Now they would answer. The future is interstellar, Anna said, echoing the project's motto. It always has been. James nodded. Humanity had always pushed boundaries. Now they would push beyond the solar system itself. Because they had to, because it was in their nature, and because the stars themselves beckoned. The Interstellar Design Center sprawled across what had once been the Mojave Desert, now a climate-controlled agricultural zone feeding North America. Inside the main atrium, Emma Miller studied the holographic representation of Hope, turning it slowly with gesture controls. The southern continent is our primary landing zone, she explained to the gathered engineering team. We've named it Nova Terra. The gravity will be our biggest challenge, minus 1.3 G. Will strain both our bodies and our structures. Chief Engineer Marcus Bell nodded, zooming in on the chosen landing site. We've redesigned the colony modules accordingly. Stronger support structures, different material composites. But the real challenge is designing for a biosphere we don't fully understand. 5 years had passed since Project Diaspora's approval. Construction of the colony ships. Massive vessels named Endeavour, Pioneer, Discovery, Horizon, and Voyager continued in Earth orbit. Each would carry not just colonists, but the seeds of a new human civilization. The alien microorganisms are the wild card, Dr. Paul Rodriguez, xenobiologist, pointed out. They're not based on DNA as we know it. Limited competition with Earth life, according to our models, but we can't be sure until we're there. The design team faced unprecedented challenges. Everything humanity had built was for Earth or the sterile environments of space stations and lunar bases. Hope offered something different, a living world not made for humans, but which humans could adapt to. Modular construction is key, said Linda White, architectural lead. We start with enclosed habitats, then expand as we understand the environment better. The colony foundation units are designed to be both landing craft and permanent structures. The hologram shifted to show hexagonal structures, connected by covered walkways, spreading outward from a central hub. Each CFU contains living quarters for 500 colonists, hydroponics, medical facilities, manufacturing centers, and power generation, Linda continued. They can function independently if necessary, providing redundancy. Emma studied the designs closely. As a pilot, she would be among the first to wake from cryo-sleep, responsible for landing these massive structures safely on an alien world. What about the native life? She asked. How do we prevent contamination in both directions? Dr. Rodriguez gestured, bringing up images of Hope's simple ecosystem. Quarantine protocols are built into every aspect of the design. The first 2 years will involve minimal direct contact. We'll create controlled interaction zones to study compatibility gradually. The meeting continued for hours, addressing thousands of interconnected systems. Everything had to work together flawlessly. There would be no supply ships, no rescue missions. The colony would be entirely self-sufficient, 4.2 light-years from home. Later, Emma found herself in the virtual reality chamber, experiencing the simulation of Hope's surface. The higher gravity pulled at her virtual body as she walked through fields of alien vegetation. Low, bluish-green growths that resembled Earth's primitive plants from millions of years ago. Marcus joined her, his avatar materializing nearby. Beautiful, isn't it? Alien, but somehow familiar. Emma nodded. We evolved to live on a world like this. Different, but the same fundamental rules apply. Gravity, light, water. It feels like we're coming full circle, Marcus said thoughtfully. Our ancestors looked up at the stars and wondered. Now we're designing cities that will exist beneath those stars. Emma gazed up at the simulation of Hope's night sky, where unfamiliar constellations glittered. The first interstellar humans, she said softly. Everything we design becomes the template for a new branch of civilization. The weight of that responsibility settled on her shoulders, heavier than the simulation's 1.3 G. They weren't just designing habitats or ships. They were designing humanity's future among the stars. The Fusion Control Center hummed with activity as Chief Engineer David Wilson made final adjustments to the Endeavour's propulsion system. Through the reinforced viewport, he could see the massive fusion reactor, the heart of the interstellar vessel. Helium-3 injection sequence starting, announced his assistant, Mike Taylor. Power curves are nominal. The reactor glowed with an otherworldly blue light as the fusion process began, perfectly contained within magnetic fields of unprecedented strength. Humanity had mastered fusion power decades ago, but never at this scale, never for this purpose. The Bussard collection system is online, David confirmed, watching as virtual displays showed the starship's massive electromagnetic scoop extending. Once we're at cruising velocity, we'll be gathering interstellar hydrogen to supplement our fuel reserves. The 5 colony ships represented the pinnacle of human engineering. Each vessel stretched nearly a kilometer in length, with rotating habitat sections providing artificial gravity for the crew members who would remain awake during the journey. The rest, some 19,500 colonists per ship, would sleep in cryostasis, waiting for arrival at Hope. Laura Davis, the project's Energy Systems Director, joined them at the control station. "The antimatter catalysts are performing better than expected," she reported. "We should be able to achieve 0.15 key within 6 months of departure. That cuts our journey to 25 years. 15% of light speed, faster than humans had ever traveled, yet agonizingly slow against the vast distances of space. The enormous energy requirements had driven innovation across every field of physics. What about the Alcubierre drive research?" David asked. "Any progress?" Laura shook her head. "Still theoretical. Maybe our grandchildren will have faster-than-light travel, but we're stuck with relativistic speeds. The propulsion system for each colony ship consumed resources equivalent to the annual energy usage of pre-space Earth. The fusion reactors would power not just propulsion, but life support, manufacturing systems, and the critical cryostasis pods for the duration of the journey. Power management is everything," Mike said, gesturing to the complex distribution grid displayed on his console. "We've built in quadruple redundancy for critical systems, but we're still pushing the boundaries of what's possible." The breakthrough had come from Professor William Chen's work on antimatter catalyzed fusion, allowing for unprecedented energy density. Still, the margins were tight. There would be no refueling stations between stars. Later, aboard the Endeavour itself, David floated through the vast engineering section, inspecting connections and verifying system integrity. The ship felt alive around him, a self-contained world preparing for the greatest journey ever undertaken. Captain Rachel Cooper joined him, her experienced eyes scanning the reactor systems. "Will it be enough?" she asked quietly. 25 years is a long time. "We've planned for everything we can imagine," David replied. "And some things we can't." The emergency backup systems could power a small city for a century. Rachel nodded, but her expression remained serious. "We're asking these reactors to burn continuously for decades, far from any support. Nothing like this has ever been attempted." "That's why we're sending 5 ships," David said. "Redundancy at every level." They drifted in silence for a moment, considering the magnitude of what they were undertaking. The journey between stars had always been humanity's greatest obstacle to expansion. Now they were preparing to cross that void, powered by the same fusion process that lit the stars themselves. "There's a certain poetry to it," Rachel mused, "using the power of stars to reach the stars." David smiled. "The universe runs on fusion. We're just borrowing the process." As final preparations continued, the 5 massive vessels neared completion in Earth orbit. Each fusion reactor underwent rigorous testing, each power system verified to withstand the stresses of interstellar space. The future of humanity depended on these engines burning true across the vast darkness between solar systems. Power for the journey. Power for life support. Power for humanity's greatest leap. Captain Rachel Cooper was the first to awaken from cryosleep. Her pod hissed open as medical systems gently brought her body back to full consciousness after 15 years of suspended animation. Through the viewport of her recovery chamber, she could see the unfamiliar stars of deep interstellar space. "Status report," she requested, her voice rough from disuse. "All systems nominal," responded Endeavour's artificial intelligence, currently at year 15 of 25-year journey. Velocity holding at 0.152 c, remaining cryopods at 99.6% optimal function. Rachel processed this information as she performed the mandatory mobility exercises. 3 pods had failed. 3 colonists lost during the long sleep. Better than projected, but each loss cut deep. Over the next week, the first shift crew awakened. 50 specialists who would monitor the ship for the next 5 years before returning to cryosleep when the second shift relieved them. Emma Miller, senior pilot, was among them. "The void is beautiful," Emma remarked as she joined Rachel in the observation dome. Outside, the stark blackness of interstellar space was illuminated only by distant, unwavering stars. With no atmosphere to cause twinkling, they shone with steady, piercing light. "Beautiful, but unforgiving," Rachel replied. "Nav team reports we've had to make 7 course corrections during the sleep cycle. Interstellar dust density was higher than our models predicted." The journey had changed them all. 15 years had passed for Earth. Communications arrived via tight beam laser, bringing news of home, though each message took years to reach them. The 5 ships traveled in loose formation, separated by millions of kilometers, yet following the same trajectory toward hope. Life aboard Endeavour fell into careful routines. The awakened crew monitored systems, performed maintenance, and prepared for the challenges ahead. The massive greenhouse modules, maintaining plants through the journey, required constant attention. These plants would form the basis of the colony's initial food supply and help establish Earth-compatible ecosystems on Hope. In the ship's laboratory section, Dr. Thomas Ward studied the latest data from the advanced probes that had reached Hope decades earlier, continuing to transmit information. "The atmosphere is showing seasonal variations we didn't detect before," he informed Emma during her regular briefing. "Nothing concerning, but it suggests more complex weather patterns than we anticipated." Every new piece of information was carefully analyzed and shared between the 5 ships. The mission had been designed with the understanding that conditions at their destination would have changed during the decades-long journey. Sometimes, Emma would visit the cryosleep chambers, walking slowly between the thousands of pods containing the sleeping colonists. Farmers, engineers, doctors, teachers, children, the seeds of a new human branch. Among them, her father James, who had joined the mission in its final stages, unwilling to let his daughter face the stars alone. "We're halfway there, Dad," she whispered, placing her hand on his pod. "Hope is waiting." The greatest challenge came in year 17, when a micrometeoroid storm, particles no larger than dust, but traveling at relative velocities that made them deadly, threatened the fleet. For 3 tense weeks, the ships adjusted their electromagnetic shields and trajectories, navigating through the invisible hazard. Pioneer suffered damage to one of its auxiliary power systems. Voyager lost a communications array, but the shielding held where it mattered most, protecting the precious human cargo in cryosleep. "This is why we train," Rachel told her crew afterward. "Space will always find new ways to test us." As the years passed, distant Hope grew from a mere point of light to a recognizable disk. Spectrographic analysis confirmed what they had hoped. The planet remained viable. Automated terraforming processors, sent ahead decades earlier, had already begun subtle adjustments to the atmosphere, introducing Earth bacteria designed to make the alien world more hospitable. In the 24th year of their journey, the final shift crew awakened. The 5 ships began their long deceleration, fusion drives now pointing forward, slowly shedding the enormous velocity they had built up over decades. Hope filled their view screens now, a blue-green world with white clouds and 2 small moons. Different from Earth, yet tantalizing in its similarity. "Home soon." "We made it," Emma said, standing beside Rachel as they gazed at their destination. Humanity's first interstellar crossing. Rachel nodded, but her expression remained focused. "The journey's not over. The hardest part might be just beginning." The colony ship Endeavour hung in orbit around Hope, its massive form dwarfed by the planet below. After 25 years of interstellar travel, they had arrived. Humanity's first migration to another star system. Atmospheric analysis confirms terraforming progress at 72% of projected levels, reported Emma from the command center. Surface temperatures at landing site Alpha average 15 degrees Celsius, breathable with supplemental oxygen for the first generation. The automated systems sent ahead decades earlier had performed their work diligently, introducing Earth microorganisms designed to gradually shift Hope's atmosphere toward human compatibility. The process would continue for centuries, but already the alien world was changing to accommodate its new inhabitants. Captain Rachel Cooper nodded, studying the detailed surface scans. "Begin waking the first colonist group," Landing operations commence in 3 days. The unprecedented task of transferring 100,000 humans from 5 orbiting vessels to an alien planet had been meticulously planned for decades. First, robotic landers would establish the initial infrastructure. Then, colony foundation units would descend, carrying the first wave of specialists to prepare for the main population. Tom Garcia, now Chief of Colonial Agriculture, supervised the loading of the first CFU. "We've got seedlings from 5,000 Earth species," he told his team. "Everything from basic grains to fruit trees. The biodomes will sustain us until we understand how to integrate with the native ecosystem." The scale of the undertaking was staggering. Humanity had established outposts on Mars and Venus, but nothing like this. An entire civilization transplanted to a world 4.2 light-years from Earth. When the first lander touched down on Hope's surface, the entire fleet watched via transmitted feeds. Director Anna Thompson, now 81 years old but still formidable, stepped onto alien soil as humanity's first interstellar ambassador. The moment was broadcast back to Earth, though the transmission would take years to arrive. "One small step for a human," she said, deliberately echoing ancient words. "One giant leap for humanity's future." The soil beneath her boots was reddish-brown, supporting alien vegetation that resembled Earth's primitive plants, simple, low-growing organisms that had evolved under Hope's orange-tinted sunlight. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and ozone. Within weeks, the landing zone transformed as massive CFUs descended from orbit, each hexagonal structure becoming the foundation for what would grow into Hope's first city, appropriately named New Beginning. The structures were designed to integrate with each other, creating an expanding network of habitats connected by enclosed walkways. Marcus Bell supervised the construction teams, managing both human workers and robotic systems. "We're ahead of schedule on habitation units," he reported during the daily coordination meeting. "Environmental systems are performing within expected parameters. But not everything went as planned. The higher gravity strained equipment designed for Earth's conditions. Native microorganisms proved more aggressive than anticipated, requiring enhanced quarantine protocols. When the first major storm hit the fledgling colony, wind speeds exceeded projections by 40%, damaging several outer structures. "We adapt" became the colonists' unofficial motto. 6 months after landing, New Beginning housed 20,000 colonists. Biodomes stretched across the landscape, their transparent surfaces glowing softly at night. Inside, Earth plants grew in carefully controlled conditions, while xenobiologists studied how to safely integrate them with Hope's native life. Dr. Paul Rodriguez led the first successful cross-cultivation experiment, demonstrating that modified Earth wheat could grow in Hope's soil when treated with specific bacterial cultures. "It's working," he announced to the Colonial Council. "Given time, we can create a sustainable hybrid agriculture." The most profound moment came when Hope's first human child was born. Baby Alexander, delivered in the Colonial Medical Center to engineers Maya and John Miller. The first human to take their first breath on a world orbiting another star. "Born of Earth, but child of Hope," read the announcement shared throughout the colony. Not everyone found the transition easy. Some colonists struggled with the higher gravity, never fully adapting despite medical treatments. Others experienced psychological difficulties adjusting to the alien environment. The slightly different length of days, the orange-tinted sunlight, the unfamiliar starscape at night. Support systems had been built into every aspect of colonial life. Community was emphasized above all. Each colonist had a purpose, a place in building this new branch of humanity. By the end of the first year, automated mining operations had begun extracting necessary minerals from Hope's crust. Manufacturing centers produced replacement parts, reducing dependence on the finite supplies brought from Earth. The colony remained fragile, but its roots were taking hold. From the observation point on Hill Alpha, Emma often watched the growing settlement spread across the valley below. Lights gleamed in the alien dusk as New Beginning came alive each night. "We're really doing it," David said, joining her one evening, building a new civilization from scratch. Emma nodded, watching as the unfamiliar constellations appeared above. This is just the beginning. Our grandchildren will see colonies across this entire continent. Their grandchildren might terraform the whole planet. Somewhere in the vast darkness above, Earth continued its own journey around the sun. Humanity's first home, but no longer its only one. The interstellar age had begun. 50 years after the first landing, hope had transformed. New Beginning had grown from a collection of connected modules into a sprawling city of 90,000. 3 additional settlements, Prosperity, Horizon, and Liberty, had been established across the planet's habitable southern continent. Alexander Miller, the first human born on Hope, now served as Director of Interstellar Communications. At 50, his body had evolved slight adaptations to the planet's higher gravity. Denser bone structure, stronger muscles, a slightly more robust cardiovascular system. The first generation of true Hokians. The quantum entanglement communicator is ready for testing, he announced to the assembled Colonial Council. If successful, we'll have instantaneous communication with Earth for the first time since our arrival. The technology had been theoretical when the colony ships departed, but Earth had continued advancing during the decades since. The breakthrough came when scientists discovered how to reliably manipulate entangled particles across astronomical distances. A supply ship had brought the necessary equipment 2 years earlier, completing the paired system between worlds separated by 4.2 light-years. In the communications center, Alexander initiated the startup sequence, activating QEC link in 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the display flickered to life, showing an image from Earth, the Interstellar Council chamber where representatives waited expectantly. "This is Hope Colony calling Earth," Alexander said, his voice steady despite the historical significance of the moment. "Do you receive us?" When the face of Earth's Secretary General Julia Warren appeared without the 4.2-year delay they had grown accustomed to, spontaneous cheers erupted throughout the communications center. "We receive you, Hope Colony," she replied, her voice clear and immediate. "On behalf of all humanity on Earth, we celebrate this historic connection between our worlds." The quantum entanglement communicator transformed everything. Knowledge, culture, and scientific advancements could now flow freely between the two human worlds. Earth shared 50 years of technological development. Hope shared the hard-won wisdom of establishing civilization on an alien planet. Hope's success had inspired Earth to launch additional colony missions to other promising star systems. 3 more fleets had departed in the decades since, bound for Ta Ceti, 82 Eridani, and Epsilon Indi, each carrying the next generation of colony foundation units and the lessons learned from Hope's pioneers. "We're establishing the Interstellar Network," explained Dr. William Morgan, Hope's chief astronomer, during a public lecture. "Each colony will eventually connect via QEC, creating an instantaneous communication web spanning dozens of light years. Humanity will remain united despite the vast distances between us." The true challenge emerged as Hope's society evolved distinct cultural patterns from Earth. Adaptation to local conditions, biological, psychological, and cultural, created divergence. Hope's citizens placed greater emphasis on resource efficiency and community cooperation, necessary traits for survival on their new world. Their art reflected the orange-tinged quality of sunlight. Their music incorporated rhythms, matching Hope's 31-hour day. "We are becoming something new," philosopher Rebecca Taylor observed in her widely shared essay, "New Branches of Humanity. Not separate from Earth-born humans, but adapted to our world as they are to theirs. Divergent evolution has begun." The Colonial Council debated how to navigate this divergence while maintaining connection with humanity's birthplace. They established the Interstellar Cultural Exchange Program, through which citizens from both worlds could share experiences via immersive virtual reality, preserving their shared heritage while acknowledging their growing differences. Meanwhile, the terraforming of Hope continued. The oxygen content of the atmosphere had increased to 19%, making supplemental breathing assistance unnecessary for most outdoor activities. In controlled agricultural zones, Earth plants grew directly in Hope's modified soil. Native vegetation and Earth imports coexisted in carefully managed regions, creating hybrid ecosystems. The planetary transformation would require centuries to complete, but each generation would inherit a more Earth-like environment than the last. Some radical thinkers questioned whether full terraforming was even desirable, arguing that humans should adapt to Hope rather than forcing Hope to become a replica of Earth. "We are the adaptable species," Alexander often reminded the Council. "That's how we came to be here in the first place." Hope's population approached 200,000 as the first century of colonization neared. Most were colony-born, with only a few hundred original pioneers remaining. Their society had developed its own governance systems, educational approaches, and social structures optimized for their world. When the quantum communicator revealed that Earth was preparing a 100th anniversary celebration of the colony's founding, Hope's citizens responded with a momentous announcement of their own. "We are proud to inform Earth that Hope's first interstellar vessel has completed construction in our orbital shipyard," Alexander proclaimed during the commemorative broadcast. "The Prometheus will depart next year for the Epsilon Eridani system, carrying 5,000 Hope-born colonists to establish humanity's first third-generation settlement." The stunned silence from Earth lasted several seconds before erupting into applause. Humanity's reach among the stars had taken another exponential leap forward. "This is the network we envisioned," Alexander told his daughter Lisa afterward. "Not just communication, but civilization itself spreading from star to star." As Hope's first starship underwent final preparations, the colony reflected on its journey, from desperate necessity to thriving civilization to launching its own diaspora among the stars. The cycle would continue, each new world adapting humanity to new conditions, creating new branches of culture, biology, and thought. The future was indeed interstellar. 500 years after humanity's first interstellar journey, the human sphere encompassed 27 star systems. Each world had followed its own evolutionary path, adapting its inhabitants to local conditions while maintaining connection to the greater human civilization through the quantum entanglement network. Admiral Lisa Miller, descendant of Hope's pioneers and commander of the exploration vessel Curiosity, stood on the observation deck as her ship orbited the latest addition to human space, a water world circling Tau CDF, named Oceanus by its newly established colony. "Magnificent, isn't it?" asked her first officer, Commander Jack Reynolds. "They've already deployed the floating city platforms. Within a decade, they'll have a sustainable population." Lisa nodded, watching as construction drones swarmed around massive floating structures designed for a world with no significant landmass. Each colony brought new challenges, new adaptations, new branches to humanity's ever-expanding tree. "We've received a priority communication from Network Control," Jack informed her. "They're requesting your presence at the Centennial Congress." The interstellar governance network had evolved as humanity spread among the stars. Each world maintained local autonomy while participating in a decentralized decision-making system addressing species-wide concerns. The Centennial Congress, gathering representatives from all human worlds, occurred only once every 100 years. 3 weeks later, Lisa's ship arrived at the Nexus, a massive space station orbiting Earth, humanity's ancestral home. Representatives from all 27 human worlds gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall, their physical appearances reflecting the diverse environments that had shaped them. The delegates from Prometheus, a high-gravity world, stood short and powerfully built. Representatives from low-gravity Icarus moved with fluid grace. The ambassadors from Oceanus bore gill implants that allowed them to breathe underwater. Those from Vulcan, a hot, arid world, had skin engineered to conserve moisture and reflect solar radiation. Despite their differences, all were undeniably human, variations on the same genetic foundation, adapted through both natural selection and deliberate modification to thrive in their respective environments. Director Thomas Wilson, Earth's senior representative, called the Congress to order. 5 centuries ago, our ancestors took their first step beyond our birth system, he began. Today, we gather to address our greatest challenge yet, first contact with confirmed non-human intelligence. A hush fell over the assembly. For centuries, humanity had searched for signs of other civilizations among the stars. Automated probes had explored hundreds of systems, finding abundant simple life, but no technological societies. Until now. The Deep Space Observatory at Epsilon Indi has confirmed artificial signals originating from the Cygnus arm of our galaxy, Thomas continued. Approximately 500 light-years distant, the patterns are unmistakably the product of intelligence. The assembled representatives murmured among themselves. After centuries of expansion and diversification, humanity faced the prospect of meeting truly alien minds. Professor Maya Chen, synanthropologist from New Terra, addressed the assembly. We've prepared for this moment for generations, she reminded them. Our diverse adaptations to different worlds give us unique perspective. We understand, better than our earthbound ancestors could have, that intelligence can flourish under vastly different conditions. The Congress debated for days. Should they respond to the signals? What message would represent a species that now existed in so many variations? Would the alien civilization perceive humanity's different branches as separate species? We are greater than the sum of our differences, Lisa argued during a crucial session. Our strength lies in our adaptability, in our willingness to change while maintaining our essential humanity. This is what we should convey. In the end, the Congress reached consensus. Humanity would respond with a message of peaceful greeting, sharing knowledge of their diverse worlds and adaptations, inviting dialogue across the gulf of space and biology. As the Congress concluded, Lisa found herself once again on Nexus Station's observation deck, looking down at Earth, the blue marble that had once contained all of humanity. Now it was just one world among many, the birthplace rather than the definition of the human species. Professor Chen joined her, following her gaze. Our ancestors worried about becoming too different, about losing what made us human as we spread among the stars, she remarked. They never realized that adaptation itself is the essence of humanity. Lisa nodded. 27 worlds, each shaping us in different ways. Yet we remain connected, not just by the quantum network, but by shared purpose. And now we prepare to connect with something truly different, Maya added. Not another branch of humanity, but a completely separate evolutionary tree. The vista before them expanded beyond Earth to encompass the star-filled blackness of space. Somewhere among those distant points of light, another civilization waited, different in ways they could barely imagine, yet sharing the fundamental experience of evolving, thinking, questioning their place in the cosmos. This is what the interstellar age was always leading to, Lisa said softly, not just spreading humanity among the stars, but preparing us to take our place in a larger community. As Nexus Station continued its silent orbit, representatives from 27 human worlds drafted humanity's first message to another intelligence. 500 years of interstellar expansion had transformed the species from refugees of a threatened world to citizens of the galaxy, diverse in form but united in purpose, ready to extend the network of consciousness beyond the boundaries of their own evolutionary history. The future was indeed interstellar, but it would be shared.